What if Order 66 was executed before Windu and the Jedi went to arrest Palpatine? That's our story for today, and folks, before we get into it, we are in the last couple days of our giveaway for 50,000. Heck, I may be at 50,000 by the time this posts subscribers for that. So we're doing a giveaway at 50,000 subscribers, which will be announced on Monday. The winner will be announced on Monday, and there's still time to enter, so if you do want to enter, wait till the end of the video to find out how, or check the pinned comment down below. Let's get right into it. Our story begins inside of the Jedi Temple hangar, as Mace Windu watches Anakin Skywalker land inside and nearly fall out of his speeder. Anakin is completely disheveled from something, and Windu knew that he was just returning from Palpatine's office, so Windu ran over to him to ask what was going on. Moments ago, inside of Palpatine's office, Anakin learned the truth. Palpatine is the Sith Lord the Jedi have been looking for. For years, since the day Anakin arrived on Coruscant, Palpatine has been manipulating him, using him, trying to bring him to the dark side. Palpatine just revealed all of this, and then told Anakin that only he could save Padme from dying. But in the office, Anakin suddenly had remembered all of the times that Padme was nearly killed during the war, and even before the war. All of the assassination attempts were from Palpatine. And so, in the office, Anakin swore to Palpatine that he would never join him, never trust the man that tried to kill his wife. He couldn't. And so Palpatine watched Anakin leave for the temple, realizing that perhaps his greatest challenge, turning Anakin to the dark side, was a failure. But Palpatine knew he could still use this. Anakin ignited his lightsaber in here. Palpatine could manipulate the audio recordings to make it sound like Anakin wanted to kill him for no good reason. Anakin would just have to die with the rest of the Jedi fools. So it was time. Palpatine walked up to his communicator, sending a message to all of the clones across the galaxy. Execute Order 66. And in the temple hangar, Anakin was now telling Windu everything. Palpatine is not working with the Sith Lord. No, he is the Sith Lord. And Windu told Anakin that their worst fears have been realized. He then assigned Anakin to go wait in the council chambers until they return. Then he will have gained his trust. Anakin absolutely hated this, but in moments, the shuttle was taking off. Anakin watched it fly away, and suddenly he had to grab at his head. Something was wrong, terribly wrong. It was like thousands of lives just blinked out in a single moment. And then, Anakin heard something. A missile? He looked back up to the shuttle that Windu was in, and a missile slammed into the side of it, sending the shuttle crashing to the ground. Anakin was in shock, and he ran to the edge of the hangar to see where the shuttle was falling. And as he did, another missile was now headed for the temple hangar. Anakin reached out, catching it with the Force, but another one was fired, and Anakin flipped over it, but the explosion inside the hangar pushed Anakin out of it. He went flying out, falling down to the ground, and in his fall, he managed to pull a speeder to him, landing in it. Anakin looked up to the temple to see countless Republic ships landing near the sides. Then he looked down to the stairs, and Anakin saw thousands of clone troopers beginning to line up. And Anakin made a choice. He had to trust the masters inside the temple to protect it, while he goes and sees if Windu, Fisto, Kolar, and Tin were alive. He knew the clones, and this was his 501st. They wouldn't just walk into the temple and kill innocent Jedi. They were his men. They were loyal to the Jedi. It was clearly just some sort of security measure. But they fired at Windu, and then at the temple hangar. Anakin didn't know what to think, but he managed to fly down to the crash site, and Coruscant Guard clones were forming a perimeter around the crash shuttle, saying there's nothing to worry about, making sure citizens get out of here. But Anakin jumped to the top of a building and looked down to the crash shuttle. A squad of 8 commando troopers were moving in on the shuttle with their blasters ready, and as the commandos reached the shuttle, a purple lightsaber flew out of the crash, cutting down 3 of them. And then the shuttle was lifted with the Force, crushing 3 more, and Mace Windu leapt out, grabbing his saber, cutting down the final 2. A group of Coruscant Guard troopers ran at Windu, but he used a huge Force push, sending them flying away, crashing into building, going unconscious or dying, and then Windu fell to his knees, putting his hands on the bodies of Fisto, Kolar, and Tin, all who died in the crash. Anakin jumped down, telling Windu they have to get back to the temple. Clone troopers are invading it. But Anakin asked Windu if he truly believed the clones would fire on innocent Jedi in the temple. Most of the Jedi in there have nothing to do with the war. Even if Palpatine has turned on them, the clones would only fire on masters who were fighting in the war. but Windu looked up at Anakin with a mixture of sadness, rage, and confusion in his eyes. He told Anakin that something happened to the clones. It's like a switch has went off in their mind. They've become like droids. And Windu told Anakin to close his eyes, feel in the Force. These clones have changed. And so, Anakin did. He felt for the clones, and he could tell that Windu was right. Something was terribly wrong with them. Their thoughts have become one, just a repeating, good soldiers follow orders. But Anakin felt something else now. Death. In the temple hangar, he'd felt death. But now Anakin could feel personal death. Because Palpatine altered his plans and executed the order earlier than expected, the Jedi were in different positions than they would have been had Palpatine waited for Anakin. On Utapau, Cody in the 212th overwhelmed Obi-Wan without his lightsaber, gunning him down as he returned from killing Grievous. On Kashyyyk, Yoda was meeting with an entire squadron of clones about the next phase of the attack, and the meeting was called, and the Order 66 was hit. Yoda was hit in the shoulder and legs, but Chewbacca managed to save him. Yoda was alive, but badly injured, hidden away on Kashyyyk. On a Republic Venator, Ahsoka blocked the shots from Rex, but Jesse was in the room with them, and he shot her through the back. Order 66 was more successful than Palpatine anticipated across the galaxy. But not everyone died. On Cato Nemoidia, Plo Koon was meditating, preparing for a final flyover of the capital city, when he felt the shift in the Force. Before any clones could get to him, Plo knew that he must return to Coruscant immediately. Something has gone terribly wrong, and no one can be trusted. And on Coruscant, Windu and Anakin were flying back to the temple. Anakin couldn't think about Obi-Wan, Ahsoka, or anyone else right now. The Sith has revealed himself, and the clone army has turned against the Jedi. Anakin was wrong about the temple. These clones have no mercy. They will kill every last Jedi in there if Anakin and Windu cannot stop them, because the clones cannot stop themselves. As their speeder rose above the buildings, the two Jedi finally saw the temple. As the sun was setting on Coruscant, the night sky would soon be lit up by fires burning from the temple. But two of the most powerful Jedi were on their way to help. They flew back to the hangar, which was now completely blown up, with bodies of a few Jedi and clones littered throughout the fires inside, and Anakin and Mace got out of their speeder, running inside to the temple. The sound of blaster fire, lightsabers, screaming, just horrific sounds easily filled their ears. The temple, perhaps the most peaceful place in the galaxy, has become the ground of a genocide. Amidst the chaos and carnage of Order 66 within the temple, clone troopers, once allies and friends of the Jedi, were now moving with efficiency born from the inhibitor chips, hunting down the Jedi no matter their age or place in the Order. But reinforcements have arrived for the Jedi, as Anakin Skywalker and Mace Windu emerged as beacons of hope, their purple and blue lightsabers moving from room to room as they aided the Jedi who were not strong enough to survive on their own. Together, Anakin and Windu moved through the halls. For years, the two of them never truly got along, but throughout the Clone Wars, whenever a battle became dire, the two of them were able to put their differences aside and work together. They were a strong duo, and that was true today more than ever. They may not get along, but Anakin and Windu were powerful together. And now they were moving through the many halls of the temple, their senses attuned to the clones waiting around every corner. Together, they dispatched wave after wave of clones, soon coming upon a training area, with a guide Minas Velti and her group of younglings guiding them into an emergency exit where they would be able to safely go. The two of them ran down another hall, fighting through 501st clones and clone commandos to get to a group of Jedi protecting another youngling, Grogu. Anakin and Mace protected the Jedi, then guided Grogu to Master Kelleran Beck, who had an escape plan ready to go. They wished the Force to be with him, then ran back into the temple. As they advanced deeper into the heart of the temple, the tide of battle began to shift. A glimmer of hope flickered amidst the chaos. Jedi who had been cornered and overwhelmed found a new sense of hope, as Anakin and Windu carved a path to escape. Together, they were pillars of strength in the temple, rallying the Jedi, inspiring them to fight against the overwhelming odds. Soon, Commander Oppo of the 501st would see this unity, noticing that the Jedi are fighting back, so he'd get outside the temple, calling the office of the Supreme Chancellor. Oppo said that Anakin and Windu were here, and they were pushing the clones back. They need reinforcements quickly. Palpatine snarled at this. It was reported at the beginning of the attack that Windu's shuttle was blown up, and Anakin died in the explosions inside of the temple hangar. Of course they were alive. Palpatine told Oppo that he would be sending in the Coruscant Guard, along with additional help in due time. Oppo acknowledged this, then ran back into battle against the resurging Jedi. With each passing moment, the bond between Anakin and Windu would grow, their fighting styles working together against the clone onslaught. The two of them were giving each other orders, and neither disobeyed the other. Windu knew Anakin's reputation in battle. He'd seen it, and Anakin deep down respected how strong Windu was remaining in a desperate fight. Room to room, the Jedi gained an advantage as the clones were pushed back, and before long, the Jedi had the remaining clones retreating to the main entrance as many more Jedi were rallying behind Anakin and Windu, fighting back. But now, clone reinforcements have arrived. A few hundred members of the Coruscant Guard began running into the temple, and now it was more of an even fight. Anakin and Windu ordered everyone to evacuate, while they and a few masters and the remaining temple guards hold off the reinforcements. But as Anakin was fighting off the clones, he saw someone else enter on the side. It was Palpatine, and behind him were his red guards, holding someone as prisoner, Padme. And Anakin felt so foolish. He was so caught up in battle that he'd forgotten about Padme. For Anakin, he always used battles as a way to forget all about his fears. Battles gave him distraction from his fears, and today he'd embraced the battle, forgetting about his fears about Padme, and that was his greatest mistake. Windu saw this too, and suddenly clones began to evacuate the temple, seemingly leaving to chase down every Jedi who escaped into the Coruscant underworld. Windu ordered the remaining masters and temple guards to follow these clones, make sure they cannot find the hidden Jedi. He and Skywalker will handle Palpatine. So as the Jedi and clones cleared the temple, continuing their fights outside these walls, Windu and Skywalker circled Palpatine as his lips curled into a smile, and he began to laugh as he saw the burning temple behind them. Palpatine told Anakin that he had his chance to join him, to be the true heir to his power in the dark side, but he has made his choice, and now he must pay. Anakin was about to try and move in, rescue Padme, while somehow also fighting off Palpatine. It was an impossible task, but he had to try it. But Anakin looked up, and he saw someone sneak in from a vent above the temple entrance. Plo Koon was here, and now Anakin knew he just has to distract Palpatine. So Anakin put down his lightsaber, telling Palpatine he is right. He sees now that he is no match for the dark side of the Force, and he will join him. But Palpatine was no fool. He could tell that Anakin was trying to distract him so that Windu could move in and kill him. But it would not work. Palpatine grabbed his lightsaber, preparing to strike down Padme before engaging the Jedi, when suddenly he heard a saber ignite behind him in the air, but Palpatine swiftly turned, blocking Plo Koon. But this gave Windu and Skywalker an opportunity. They were able to move towards Palpatine together, stabbing him through the back as he was in a lightsaber lock with Plo. Palpatine gasped, then turned to his red guard and barked, "Kill her," before he fell to the ground, dead. Anakin turned to the red guards, throwing his saber through the air, but one of them swiftly plunged their saber into Padme's back before dying, and Padme fell to the ground, going unconscious. Anakin tried to wake her, but it was no use. Windu and Plo could see now why Anakin had been so stressed lately. Padme was clearly carrying his child, and now Anakin was trying to save her. Anakin picked her up, saying that he has to get her to a medical facility, and May said that all of the facilities will likely be on the lookout for Jedi. Nowhere is safe for them. Anakin said he did not care, then moved past the two Jedi, carrying Padme, getting into a speeder. He flew off into the traffic, landing at her apartment, hoping to find something, anything to help him. And Bail Organa was already there. He told Anakin that he was looking for Padme, trying to figure out what was going on with the Jedi, but he couldn't find her. Then Bail saw Padme in the speeder, unconscious and bleeding. Anakin pleaded for help, and Bail said he knows of one facility that is friendly to the Jedi, Polis Massa. Anakin felt relief wash over him, as Bail said he could take Padme there right now. Anakin said that would be amazing, and he will be there soon. For now, he has to help any surviving Jedi that escaped the temple. Bail nodded, and the two went their separate ways for now. Anakin would fly back down to the Undercity, relieved that Padme was getting help, and he met Windu and Plo down here, apologizing for leaving so suddenly. Plo said it was fine, but now they must focus on helping these Jedi down here. So for the next few hours, the three of them would break off in different directions, trying to find Jedi and take out the clone squads that were hunting them. The Jedi were hidden well. but upon seeing Windu, Skywalker, and Plo, they came out of hiding and joined the Jedi in fighting back. After a while, the Jedi were able to collectively get back to the main area of Coruscant and look upon the temple. Perhaps they could re-enter, try to convince the galaxy that they were not the evil ones. But moments later, a Republic Venator emerged from hyperspace. Anakin recognized it. This was the Venator carrying Rex and the 501st, and the Venator flew into the atmosphere. Anakin and Windu yelled at all of the Jedi to run, as suddenly the Venator began firing at the temple, blowing it to nothing, and the group of Jedi could only watch as the beacon of hope, the temple, was gone. Windu, Plo, and Skywalker would have to escort everyone back into the Coruscant underground, and soon come upon a Republic transport station. Anakin said they could either take the next transport for themselves, or they could all wait here to die. The answer was clear: they must take it. So when the next transport landed for boarding, Anakin, Windu, and Plo moved in, forcing the droid that took tickets to move, and the 200 surviving Jedi got onto the transport. The ticket droid called for security, and Anakin got into the pilot seat, taking off as 10 Republic gunships got behind them, firing at the transport. The shields on this thing were terrible, so Anakin ordered everyone to strap in, and he began maneuvering through the air. The clone gunships were not letting up, but Anakin soon got to space, and he punched in the coordinates for Polis Massa, jumping to hyperspace on this transport that was about 2 shots from being destroyed. The trip through hyperspace was rather silent. Windu and Plo were going seat to seat, checking on Jedi. Some had blaster wounds, many had just watched their masters, Padawans, or friends die to the clones. All of them would suffer forever for what happened here today. And in the front of the transport, the reality of everything was finally hitting Anakin. Obi-Wan was likely gone. Same with Ahsoka. Padme was suffering on Polis Massa without him. Everything felt terrible, all because of the Sith. But finally, the Sith were gone. Perhaps the Republic will improve without Palpatine, he hoped. The transport would finally come out above Polis Massa, and the Jedi would be able to disperse into the large facilities, as they were welcomed here. Bail Organa informed the people at this station about what happened with the Jedi, and they were more than willing to let the Jedi stay here for a bit. Anakin ran through the rooms, finally finding Padme as she was already in labor. Anakin was able to get next to her, trying to stay calm, but it was clear she was fighting through immense pain. And as Padme was going through this, Anakin looked to the door to see Yoda. He was limping heavily, clearly injured as his arm was also in a cast, but he walked up to Anakin and began guiding him on a technique that would help Padme to remain calm, while also focusing on the children. After a while, the children were born, and Padme was alive with Anakin next to her. They were immensely happy, though the galaxy itself would need a lot of repairing. Padme and Anakin, at least, had what they wanted, for now. Elsewhere in the galaxy, the Republic Senate would go through weeks of a back and forth, as Massa was trying to take over for Palpatine after his death. But over half of the Senate wanted a new election altogether, as the war was coming to an end, and Palpatine's rule already went on for far too long. Eventually, an election would be granted, and Mon Mothma would be elected as Chancellor. Among her first acts would be the clones inhibitor chips, having them removed, and all of them get a nice pension for their service and suffering. Clone production would be stopped, and the Jedi would no longer be hunted down, though they would move to Ahch-To for now, staying out of the Republic, trying to find themselves away from politics and with the Force. Padme and Anakin would live in their own hut on Ahch-To, as the remaining Jedi Council allowed it, after seeing Anakin's heroics on Coruscant. The Jedi would try to reform, and eventually, the twin children, named Obi and Tano, after the fallen Obi-Wan and Ahsoka, would be trained as the first in this new era of the Jedi Order. And folks, that is our story for today. Once again, if you want to enter the giveaway, go to the pinned comment down below, click the link, and it'll take you to a sheet where you can just enter your information. If it doesn't work on the first try logging out, closing it, trying again. So hope it works for you. We have around 1,000 entries so far, so appreciate you guys there. There will be 2 winners, one for a Lego set, one for a lightsaber, and if you win, I'll be announcing it on the next video, so be sure to check out Monday's video, and you should also get an email after Monday's video is released. So appreciate you guys checking this one out. Hope you enjoyed. I know. Obi-Wan always dies, my fanfictions. Yeah. You gotta have people die in these. Ahsoka also often dies in these. I don't know. At the end of the day, he does survive in probably half of them. I give him a lot of happy endings, but it just, I don't know, it makes some sense to kill Obi-Wan off. most of the time. Sorry, I know a lot of you don't like it, but I had to do it to him. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please leave a like, it helps a ton. Of course, subscribe. You gotta subscribe to be eligible for the giveaway. And I'll see you in the next video.